Cam Skattebo, is that kind of where we want to start with this one when it comes to the conversation about this game?
Snubbed.
Well, no, not that. We'll talk about the snubbage later. My gosh, he was an animal in that game on Saturday. 16 carries. I think it was 170 on the ground. He had 3 total touchdowns all purpose. The dude was a freaking animal. And, of course, we knew going in this was going to be Iowa State's Achilles heel, Damon, and it very much was their Achilles heel as ASU dominated on Saturday.
Yeah, I think the thing that stood out to me most is just that how many drives started out with huge Skattebo runs. I think like 3 of them started off with explosive Skattebo runs. And I mean, he's just the kind of guy that leaves you at a loss for words at this point, especially when you consider that he didn't make the Heisman finalist group. And I think with what Kenny said recently on the 3 segments he did, shout out to Kenny for that, it starts with how low ASU was looked at coming into the year. And, Cam Skattebo was just not on people's Heisman radars.
Yeah, and it was interesting because what we saw from him on Saturday is exactly what we expected from him. But we were still kind of shocked because of just the sheer volume of yards that he got, the 3 touchdowns, and the stage that it was on, Mitch. In the Big 12 championship game, winner gets to go to the college football playoff and probably gets a first-round bye. Just the fact that he was able to do that on the stage that he did it, spectacular performance from Skattebo, and more to come, hopefully, in the next in 3 weeks in the Peach Bowl.
Yeah, 3 weeks from now, we definitely will get to watch ASU more football. We will at least get one more game, and that's always a fun sentence to say. It's funny, you mentioned the stage. I'm looking up at my television monitor. They're about to do Monday Night Football. It's in Dallas, and I'm sure you guys saw the stat going around very quickly after that game. Arizona State in one game, really in 3 quarters, has outscored the amount of touchdowns that the Cowboys have had in their home games this year. ASU has 6 touchdowns in the AT&T Stadium. The Cowboys have only scored 5 touchdowns in their own stadium this season.
We'll see if they can keep the lead today.
It's going to be tough.
And can we bring up that stat that I shared in the group chat with you guys,
absolutely.
too?
Go for it.
When Sam Leavitt was the quarterback, because he wasn't the quarterback for the final quarter, Jeff Sims came in, Bourguet needed out at the end. When Sam Leavitt was on the field, the ASU offense was averaging 9.9 yards per play.
It's insane.
That is a dang near first down every single play.
And I think as far as my takeaways from it, and there have been times earlier in the year where I was maybe a little too hard on Sam, at least in my evaluation of him and his play. That dude has been freaking awesome in these last 6 weeks at least. Like, he has completely overtaken his ability to just completely control a game. Like, Skattebo's ability to control the game, we're very prevalent of that. But the way that Sam Leavitt is playing football right now is very reminiscent of a lot of these young and talented quarterbacks that really skyrocket at the college level.
And the confidence that he does it with.
Yeah.
He's able to go out there and without his top receiver, who's been the best receiver in the country for the past 6, 7, 8 weeks, he was able to deal the entire game without him, scored the first touchdown in Jerry World for ASU in that game, and was able to go and pass it around, not just to one guy. He passed it to Guillory, he passed it to Stovall, passed it to he passed it to Malik McClain, who awesome that he was able to come back after, basically a red shirt this year, Damon, and gets to play in that game and makes that fantastic catch. And by the way, Mitch, recovered an onside kick.
Oh, it's just multi-talented this team has become.
But yes, Sam Leavitt has been fantastic. And early in the season, I think it was just him being a redshirt freshman, not having much game time played at Michigan State, Damon, and being able to come in, get under the system of Arroyo and Dillingham, learn the offense a little bit more as the season went on, especially after he sat out the Cincinnati game, Damon. He's been fantastic.
Yeah, to me, it's just a tale of maturity at its finest. I mean, he comes in as a redshirt freshman, obviously going to be a little bit more mature than a true freshman, but, he didn't have the snaps. Like, it was 50 pass attempts or something like that he had at Michigan State. And he comes in and, develops the connection with Jordan Tyson. And I don't think it's been talked about enough how off the field those two are literally peas in a pod. Like they are so tight. There have been
2 peas in a pod,
Two
or
peas
3
in a
peas
pod.
in a pod. You
We
just
are
said
3
peas in a pod. So.
I mean, honestly, they just have one of the better triplets, I think, and I don't pay as much attention to some of the other college football teams out there, but I can't think of a better triplets that I would rather have than Cam Skattebo, Sam Levitt, and Jordan Tyson, just the way that they've performed. Levitt, in particular, has turned the ball over once via the air in the last 6 games. 1 interception in his last 6 games.
And I think it's just 3 turnover-worthy plays over the entire season.
Right.
Which is ridiculous.
His opponent, Becht, the other day, he had 2 in just 1 game the week before the Big 12 championship game.
Okay. By the way, that stretch where out of the second half, ISU starts with the ball, and then the forced fumble,
3 straight,
which led to a touchdown, the interception, which led to a touchdown, and then the third forced fumble, which led to the touchdown. That was the game. That was literally the game as soon as the half started, just how quickly they were able to turn that around so quickly.
Yeah, and I was in Dallas, and obviously I went to Arizona State, so I kind of have a unique perspective here, being able to be on the field. And
don't worry. With the cameras, I'm not hiding anything, just for the record.
Being able to see the school that I went to in that situation, I didn't think this was ever really possible for ASU to be in this position to where they win and they're in the college football playoff. Like, maybe someday they find the right coach, and obviously they have in Kenny Dillingham at this point. But I'm standing there in the third quarter after the third turnover by ISU in a row. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I'm looking up and around, and ASU fans are going crazy. My sister's in the stands. I'm looking at her going crazy. Like, I just couldn't believe it. Like, I'm holding my camera, and I'm just looking out at the field. I'm like, where are we? What is going on? This is Arizona State University.
It's funny because you guys mention it, like just how different this feels from ASU historically. I think you go back to like how many times throughout the season where I was up in the press box and I looked over to Luke Lipinski or Jesse Morrison that would sit next to me, and I would just say, "Is this the new ASU now? Like, is this just who it is?" And I think that with Kenny Dillingham at the helm, I think that he has totally fixed so many things that have been wrong with Valley sports teams.
You know what? I think that's a curious point for me, too, because when I consider at least stretches of success for ASU football, I consider almost every year where Frank Kush was the head coach. I consider there was a period there in the 90s when Jake Plummer's the quarterback and Pat Tillman is the linebacker, but that felt very short-lived after that Rose Bowl loss. The Dennis Erickson seasons where it was moderate success, and then
but he's here to play golf.
Yeah, he enjoyed Arizona a little bit too much.
As a callback by you.
As far as my best recollection of ASU, because I would say that I became a follower about 10 years ago when I came to the university. Todd Graham started off great, and then it completely fell off the rails towards the end for on and off the field reasons. Herm Edwards comes in as the replacement, and it seemed to be the same every single season, where it felt like they started hot and then they just couldn't finish the season strong, and then everything else that happened. This feels like a grand opportunity for ASU to really establish itself as one of the true powers across college football. This is one example. This is just year 2 of Kenny Dillingham. But you know what else it is? It's year 1 of many more of Sam Levitt. It's year 1 of many more of Jordan Tyson. Year 1 of many more of guys on this defense. Like
CJ Fight was a first team second team all defensive player. He's a freshman.
They specifically went out there and added guys that would be a part of this program for multiple years, not just one. They emphasized that then. It is paying massive dividends with what we're seeing now, Damon.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Kenny in recent days has talked a lot about kind of using the Dabo Sweeney model at Clemson of a coach who can come in and really turn around a program and build it up to be something that you think of now as a blue blood. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's a chance that Kenny has this thing headed in that direction. I mean, he talked about one of the things today on Burns and Gambo was when players are getting that ASU call in the transfer portal, they're saying, "We're so glad you called."
That was one of my favorite things that he said on Burns and Gambo.
It's such a turnaround in terms of how they had to approach before.
2 years in a row of 3 wins, and now they're in the college football playoff, and players are saying, "I'm so happy you called."
They want to be a part of the success. I don't blame them. And this isn't for everybody. We, of course, are aware of a couple of names that put themselves into the portal today. That doesn't mean that they're all but gone. There's always the opportunity to come back. That's the beauty of the portal, per se. But yes, what comes with it, the success in particular, is the desire that is Arizona State and not the need from Arizona State. It's completely in the opposite direction. It's been really positive to see. And I tell you what, regardless of what happens in the Peach Bowl, this will be my prediction. Regardless of what happens in the Peach Bowl, ASU will still be better for it, and they're going to be one of the dominant powerhouses in the Big 12 for many, many years to come.